noticed how invisible some forms of labor are? We wake up to clean homes, folded laundry, freshly cooked meals, and children taken care of, often without pausing to think about who makes all of this possible. Behind these everyday comforts stand millions of domestic workers, nannies, maids, cooks, drivers, ayahs, caretakers. And yet, for all their essential contributions, their time, their dignity, and even their humanity are often treated as disposable. Welcome back to the Personal Lens, and today we are going to talk about the class, caste, and the gender politics of domestic employment in India. So, the scale of domestic work. Let's begin with the numbers. According to the International Labour Organization, there are over 75 million domestic workers worldwide, and India has an estimated 4.8 million workers employed as domestic workers. Out of these, some 2.9 million are women. But experts say the actual number is likely much higher since much of this work is informal and unregistered. In India's cities, the maid or help has become a silent fixture in middle class and upper class homes. They wash dishes, mop floors, pick up groceries, tutor children, even provide elder care. But here's the irony. While they care for the families of others, many of these women are unable to spend adequate time with their own children and may be left in villages with grandparents or siblings. Their time is literally traded away to sustain the lives of others. So, whose time matters? Here we must pause and ask whose time counts as valuable. For middle class families, time is money. Hiring a domestic worker is often justified by the claim that my job is too demanding. I can't manage without help. Yet, the worker's time is not valued in the same way. They are expected to wait endlessly at the doorstep if an employer is late, to adjust schedules at the last minute, to come early and leave late. Their time is not seen as their own, it is treated as infinitely flexible, infinitely available. And this is often called the time politics of servitude, where the time of the privileged is structured, respected, and protected, while the time of the poor, especially poor women, is fragmented, undervalued, and easily exploited. Now, class and caste. Of course, class is a central part of this equation, but in India, caste cannot be separated from class. Historically, cleaning, sweeping, and caregiving work has been associated with lower caste groups. The transition of these caste based roles into modern urban domestic service shows us how old hierarchies continue in new forms. Even today, some employers restrict domestic workers from using the same utensils, sitting on the sofas, or eating at the dining table. These practices are not just about class, they echo caste based exclusions. The help may be inside the home, yet not part of the family. Intimate but excluded, trusted but not enough. The gender dimensions. Domestic work is not just about class or caste, it is profoundly gendered. Think about it. Why are the vast majority of domestic workers women? Why don't we see men, at least not in large numbers, working as nannies, ayahs, or full time live in maids? The answer lies in how gender roles are ingrained in us. From childhood, girls are expected to help around the house, cooking, cleaning, babysitting siblings, while boys are often excused. So, when women from poorer backgrounds enter the labor market, the skills they can monetize are precisely those society has conditioned them into care work and housework. Meanwhile, middle class women face another kind of dilemma. Many aspire for careers outside the home, but patriarchal expectations still hold them responsible for running the household. The solution? Outsourcing. They hire other women, often from marginalized castes and poorer classes, to do this labor. Here lies the irony. One woman's empowerment often rests on another woman's subordination. An advocate or IT professional may be able to lean in at the workplace only because another woman is leaning in to scrub her floors, bathe her children, or cook her meals. And the sacrifices of domestic workers are immense. Many leave their own children behind in villages to care for their employers' children in the city. In Delhi or Mumbai, it's common to find ayahs who know a child's first words, favorite foods, and school anxieties, yet miss out on those milestones in their own families. This is exactly what sociologist Ali Hostel called the global care chain, a chain of women's labor where the care of one family is secured by sacrificing care in another. Now let's make this more concrete through cinema. Take the Malayalam film The Great Indian Kitchen. It powerfully shows how invisible women's labor is inside the home. The film's protagonist cooks, cleans, and serves endlessly, yet her work is dismissed as routine duty. The kitchen becomes her prison. This is the same logic that devalues domestic workers' as contributions. Because care work is feminized, it is naturalized and therefore underpaid or unpaid. Domestic workers are rarely seen as individuals with their own aspirations. Instead, they are defined by what service they provide within a household. Even in popular TV serials, the maid is a background character, always there, always working, rarely noticed, unless, of course, she is a plot device to bring gossip into the story. This reflects the real life paradox. Domestic workers are deeply intimate to our lives, yet remain invisible in terms of recognition and dignity. Take the American TV series Devious Maids. On the surface, it's a glamorous, dramatic show about Latina maids working in wealthy Beverly Hills households. But look closer. What does it reveal? These women clean mansions, raise their people's children, and keep family secrets. Their lives revolve around making their employers' lives run smoothly. Yet, they are never treated as equals. They are insiders present in the most intimate family moments, but always outsiders, marked by class, race, and gender. The show also highlights the irony. While the maids care deeply for the families they work for, their own children often grow up neglected, far away because their mothers are busy serving others. And isn't that exactly what happens in India too? The live in nanny in Gurgaon who knows her employer's toddler's bedtime routine better than the parents, but hasn't seen her own child in weeks. This is the paradox. Domestic workers are central to the functioning of middle class and elite families. Yet, their labor is devalued precisely because it is feminized, racialized, and in the Indian context, caste marked. And here's the kicker: when a man cooks in a restaurant, his chef celebrated and often glamorized. But when a woman cooks in someone else's home, she's just a maid. So the gender dimension of domestic work is double edged. Women dominate this sector because care work has been feminized and naturalized. At the same time, the undervaluing of this work reflects the broader devaluation of women's labor in society. Until domestic work is recognized as skilled, dignified, and indispensable, women, both the ones who employ and the ones who employed, remain trapped in a cycle where gender dictates whose labor is valued and whose is invisible. Legal and economic invisibility. Now, you might wonder, aren't there laws protecting domestic workers? India has ratified several ILO conventions, but domestic work still falls outside the Central Labour Code protections. There are no standardized working hours, no guaranteed minimum wage nationally, no retirement or health benefits. Domestic workers are excluded from the Maternity Benefit Act, even though they provide care for mothers and infants. In many states, minimum wages have been notified for domestic workers, but enforcement is weak. And since most of this work happens behind closed doors in private households, monitoring is nearly impossible. In short, they are essential but legally invisible. And here's what makes this issue even more complex: the paradox of intimacy. Domestic workers are often present in the most private corners of a household. They raise children, they know family secrets, they share meals, sometimes even live within the home. And yet, they are constantly reminded of their outsider status. A nanny may love the child she raises as her own, but she is never considered family. A maid may be trusted with house keys, but not with equal dignity. This intimacy without equality creates a fraught relationship: part affection, part hierarchy, part dependence, part resentment. So, whose time is disposable? The truth is, domestic workers' time has historically been treated as endlessly elastic. Employers' lateness becomes the workers' unpaid waiting. Employers' convenience dictates the workers' schedule. Employers' priorities always come first. And yet, it is the labor of these women that makes modern urban life possible. Without them, the engines of middle class productivity from offices to schools to IT hubs would simply not function. So, what can change this reality? First, recognizing domestic work as real work, because it is not just help, it is labor. Second, demanding better legal protections, minimum wages, fixed hours, maternity benefits, and social security. Third, changing cultural attitudes, seeing domestic workers not as servants but as workers with dignity, autonomy, and lives of their own. It also requires us at a personal level to question how we value other people's time. Do we respect their schedules? Do we pay fair wages? Do we see them as human beings with families, dreams, and struggles? Because at the end of the day, the question is not just about employment, it's about justice, respect, and equality. So, the next time you see a nanny carrying a child to the park or a maid waiting at the bus stop after a long day of work, remember their time is not disposable, it is valuable just as yours is. And perhaps the most radical act is simply this: to see them, to value them, and to recognize that the comfort of some should not come at the cost of the dignity of others. Thank you so much for tuning into the personal lens. This is Jayanti signing off for now, but I'll be back with yet another conversation that matter. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and share. Leave your thoughts and reflections at the email provided in the description. Till then, stay engaged, stay empathetic, stay critical, and keep looking through the personal lens.